is around due diligence, and I know that Matt and Julie, both of you have maybe a few stories or two to share on what that experience was like from your perspective.
Sure, you want to start? You can start. All right, I'll start. So I came into this a little bit later. As Matt stated, he already had a relationship with some commercial bankers at JP Morgan. I am more on the delivery and execution side, so I can speak to the fact that when Matt began his relationship with JP Morgan, we were in the process of looking for entities that met our strategic goal, as Christina was mentioning, for their particular business purpose, right? So we were exploring 50 to 60 different fintechs, and we narrowed it down to 2 to 3, which met our brand. So you mentioned something about a large institution putting their trust in you. It's that trust to be able to put the brand against it, which is one of an institution's most valuable assets. So with that due diligence is very deep. You mentioned looking at the technical, so digging in, understanding how will this experience be for our customers, our JP Morgan customers. What will that tech look like? Is the data safe? So it was really quite extensive. Matt and his team have been champs at sticking through this with us, and I know it's been very thorough, but I've seen this a couple of times now, but this is the first time that I've been involved where we're really looking to productize something with a fintech as opposed to just a referral model. So really great job sticking through on that one. So do you want to give your experience since you were there?
It's I love what I'm hearing like from everybody, because I think what we viewed this as from the very beginning, from the introduction that was made to the FinTech partnership team and kind of what ensued, right? We didn't know at the time that they were looking at 50 or 60 companies. To be really direct, we don't have 50 direct competitors, right? But they did a really broad sweep of the market and said, what is out there that kind of matches what, to her point, what we believe our commercial banking partnerships clients need, and then let's continue to narrow it down. Now, what they did that was really great was they were very forthcoming with their process. We were talking about it yesterday, I think on the drive over, that at one point they said, all right, we've narrowed it down to 8 companies, and by the end of next month we'll narrow it to 4, and then we'll narrow it to 2. And when you talk about investing in companies and it's relational, we felt like as a leadership team, the best way to improve the odds of us being selected is to really invest in that relationship. And so when we knew they were making a cut from 8 to 4, we were like, what can we do to build more relationship? And so surprisingly, we had a week in New York City that had all sorts of other meetings, and we said, when we're there the whole week, when can we get together and meet with some of this team? Because we knew that if we could get an hour or 2 together, that we could start building those relationships. Inside baseball, we didn't have any meetings in New York. And we waited until, and to, I guess, maybe to call our bluff, this wasn't Julie, we got a note on a Friday afternoon, hey, we're available Tuesday at 3. And so we bought last minute flights and we flew up there and we spent 2 hours getting to know this team and sharing our vision for where we thought this would go. And so it really, to me, like, yes, we have to have the right product, we have to have the right team, we have to have all the things to go and succeed. And we know that that's just a part of the diligence, but we felt so strongly, and we want them to understand that we are the right team for them to partner with. And quite frankly, we wanted to make sure that it went both ways, right? We wanted to make sure that we matched and jived with their team, and this team that we continue to work with has just been incredible. A lot of large organizations aren't super transparent with what a process looks like, and totally understandable. I've been on the side of the house where I'm a big organization, and you don't have to be, right? But that was really helpful for us as an early stage company that was trying to navigate the waters and know where to invest our time and energy and resources. And it took ballpark 30 meetings before we were told, you're the group for us. So if you could imagine 30, 45 minute to 1 hour meetings, including a couple in person, and like tack on another 30 to 45 minutes prep internal for each one of those. We invested a lot of time and energy. We knew that there was a chance that we could be told no, right? But that was a risk we were willing to take, and I think that one of the things that large financial institutions like Truist and JP Morgan, the thing that they bring to the plate that you're not gonna get in a lot of other places is if you take an attitude of, even in the event that we lose this deal, that we don't get this partnership, this diligence is making us better. And that was something that we just tackled early on, and we said, look, we're gonna put our best foot forward, we're gonna do everything we can to win this, and then we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that's wildly successful. But in the event we don't win, we're still gonna win because it's gonna make us better for the next round of fundraising or the next time we get in front of a large financial institution or a large HCM company that we can partner with. And so I think just the way that you approach it and structure your attitude and your effort and energy towards a big strategic relationship like this and that diligence process is really key.
Love the positive thinking there.
I just wanted to, I love the point that you actually flew in person to go meet with people, because I think especially post-COVID, don't discount the value of an in-person interaction. There's far too much effort put into like, how many emails can I send? How many video conferences can we have? You are gonna make more progress in a 15-minute in-person meeting with the people that you're trying to build a relationship with than thousands of hours of Zoom. And you're gonna make much more of an impression, especially in big organizations where there may be a lot of people that you can hit, in one afternoon. So I think that's brilliant that you guys took that tact, and really important for others to consider too.
That's a very good point. Never discount the power of that personal touch.
To hit on that really quickly, we just flew a dozen people in from a client, and we decided that we were just going to round robin negotiations for 6.5 hours yesterday. So we locked ourselves in a conference room and we just knocked it out. It would have taken months to do that over Zoom and email and that sort of thing. And at the end of it, we went and had a drink and we had dinner and we all felt good about where we had landed. Whereas over email, you lose context and things like that. It's just like, when your kids or your spouse sends you a text message and someone gets angry about it. It's so hard to convey like the meaning behind what you're trying to say when it's written word, or even when it's on a screen and you can't see someone's entire body language. That's one. On the diligence piece I wanted to touch on, it was interesting that you talked about making you better. I feel very much the same way. I think fintechs also have to go into that kind of process with a willingness of how much they're willing to change or not. The answer might be, this large institution is going to push us to a breaking point or in a direction that we don't want to go, because the level of compliance, diligence, etc., is beyond where we are from a growth stage, from a funding stage, whatever the case may be. And you only learn about that with the transparency. We had a very transparent experience as well, but we've had other institutions that have been wildly untransparent, either because they didn't understand their own process or because they just didn't think to tell us. And so asking those questions up front about what their expectations are gonna be to make sure that your timelines align. I'm willing to invest the time. I'm willing to go hire the people that they're gonna expect me to have. I'm gonna go hire the lawyers to build the process that they're gonna expect us to have. Sometimes it's too early, or those timelines don't line up. And I think you have to be honest with yourself of like, yeah, that logo and that revenue sound really good. They could also potentially break you if you don't, make sure that everyone's in alignment to say, yeah, we're gonna go tackle this thing, and even if it fails, like we're still further along the path we are already headed, so.
Can I say one more thing?
Matt has a lot to say.
Yeah, I do have a lot to say, I'm sorry. What I also want to point out is like the knowledge this guy just dropped is because he's done this a lot. He did this at Cardlytics, he did this at Greenlight. So I would be a fool if I didn't reach out to someone like him and talk about the process I'm going through. So I can say it publicly, thank you to Brandon, because when we were going through this process, I reached out, I used connections that I had, I'd never met him before, and this guy took the time for 30 minutes on a Zoom to sit down and I said, hey man, here's some things that we're going through and here's what we're working with. I can't tell you who it is, but I can tell you that it's a company you're partnered with, and I want to make sure that we're structuring the right terms from a business and economics perspective in a partnership that's not going to put our company in a tough spot, and that's also in market, right? And he gave us some direction, right? You can't say this is hard and fast, but you can go, here's some things that we dealt with, here's some things we went through, here's some things that we thought and that we went through. I just think that that's really valuable. So if you're sitting out there and you're part of a fintech, you're part of an organization that's going out and and swinging for the fences and doing partnerships with some of the biggest companies in the world. Like, leverage the network and leverage the experience of people who have been there and done that. And that was something that obviously, like what Brandon just shared with you guys, Brandon was willing to do that in a one-on-one with me and give me some really solid insights that helped our company progress through this process and get to where we are.
So everyone go to Brandon.
Great advice. Find him on Twitter.
His rates are very reasonable.